Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Better Basics Podcast, the least pretentious fitness podcast on the planet. I am Matt Stone, and as always, I have my best friend and co-host, Dylan Waldheater. Dylan, here with me today. Dylan, it's great to see you, but it was even better to see you in person this past weekend.
Yeah, man, we had a good time.
Yeah.
Fun to see Archer. It had been a while.
Yeah, he's gotten a lot bigger since the last time you saw him, hasn't he?
He's a big kid, man. It was fun to see him around the other kids. He's the oldest of them, and he has some leadership qualities. He was a bit of a ringleader.
Yeah, he definitely he's the oldest sibling, and definitely like exudes that energy. So yeah.
He's a cool kid, man. You've done a good job.
I appreciate it, man. I was gonna ask you. So I'm sitting here in my family room. I got my Christmas tree in the corner over there. I got the fireplace going. I was starting to wrap some Christmas presents, and this is Christmas. Well, I mean Christmas number 2 as a dad for you, but like Christmas number 1 as a father. You know, as you now you have a year under your belt. I mean, there probably wasn't a whole lot of. Well, certainly not any excitement from Everett in terms of last Christmas. So, how are you guys doing? You know, are you guys like pumped up for the first like real holiday as a family?
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. He was 2 weeks old last Christmas, so
Yeah, probably doesn't remember it.
no, he probably won't really remember this one either.
Definitely not.
So it's more fun for us at this point, I think, and we're to start getting to the rhythm of what it's going to mean when he's 2, 3, 4, 5 years old.
Yeah, you get to set the traditions now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is super fun. He just had his first birthday. Speaking of traditions, and we saw this thing I thought was really cool. We both sat down on his first birthday after he went to bed and wrote him a letter and sealed him up. We read them to each other out loud and then sealed him up and put him away in a drawer. And I think we'll do that every year till he's, I don't know, 18, and then give him all the letters, which will be pretty cool, kind of as a time capsule of our parenting, his life, etc. So, yeah, as we get to Christmas here, it's fun. It's fun. He's still only 1, so like Santa and all that's still to come. But yeah, man, the holidays brings out the best. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Before we dig into the show too much, I wanted to just tell you a goofy thought that I had while eating dinner today. I wanted to get your opinion on it. So we had liver and onions for dinner tonight, and liver has become one of those foods for me that now I like genuinely love, but like I absolutely hated it when I mean we never had it as a kid, but you know, as an adult I knew that it was healthy and cheap. And so I would, try to eat it, and I just never really liked it. But now I have like come to really enjoy it. But liver is like one of the few foods. I think like the reason why I like it more than anything is because it's one of the few foods that like I can actually feel different after I eat it. I feel satiated. I feel like strong. It's like a really bizarre feeling to get from food. Do you? I mean, I don't think you eat a ton of liver, but like you have before, right?
Yeah, I have. I have a hard time stomaching it. It's just too. Yeah, I don't know. I just really don't like it. I recognize what you're saying to be true. Like it's just packed with micronutrients and vitamins and minerals, unlike really any other food that exists. But I eat relatively healthy. I don't think I'm missing out too much, but I've heard that from people who are liver enthusiasts that it is so packed with those things that it can have a noticeable difference, which is pretty damn cool.
Yeah, it's just unlike any other food in that regard. But we're actually, the main course today, we're going to talk all about micronutrients and nutrient-dense foods. But before we do that, let's start with the hot topic. Now, this one is an article that you sent me, Dylan, that is supposed to get us excited about how they're going to start using Ozempic to treat other stuff now.
Yeah, I was listening to Prof G, Scott Galloway's podcast the other day. I think it was Monday's episode of Prof G Markets. And he was talking about this through the context of like economics. But I thought it would be interesting to bring up on the podcast because I think this whole world around GLP-1s is just taking the world by storm. I mean, Eli Lilly and is it Nordisk or what's the company that makes Ozempic? I can't remember the name of it.
I don't know.
Yeah, these two pharmaceutical companies have essentially taken over the pharmaceutical market as a result of, in Ozempic's case, selling a diabetes drug as essentially anti-obesity drug, and in Zepbound's case, which is Eli Lilly's drug, similar formulation, but intended for use to treat overweightness and obesity. And these GLP-1s, we've talked about them before. They're drugs that mimic hormones that interact with a region of your brain to reduce your appetite and trigger satisfaction after eating. And they're taking the world by storm. And they're impactful. Now, I think we've talked about the unintended consequences that could live within the world of GLP-1s. And I've recently heard some doctors who are prescribing these talk about that actually in a lot of cases they're leading to people losing weight, but the weight that they're losing is not necessarily, they may be losing weight and getting fatter, because what's actually occurring is they're losing muscle at a pretty dramatic rate. And so if you lose more muscle than you do fat, essentially your body fat percentage increases and you actually end up less healthy. So I think it's critically important that if you're on these or considering these, that you're strength training and prioritizing protein when you do, so that you maintain that muscle and that the weight that you're losing is that fat. That's just some underlying context in all this. But what's interesting, the article that I sent you and what they were talking about on Prof G Markets was that Eli Lilly, their CEO, said that the company is going to start studies looking at Zepbound's role in curbing alcohol abuse and nicotine use, and even in some cases, like opiate addiction and drug abuse. So a really kind of interesting new thread. Obviously, from a business perspective, they're looking for ways to expand their market, and this would be one way to do that.
Yeah, okay. First off, to clarify, you were right. Novo Nordisk does, in fact, make Ozempic.
Okay.
No shit. The pharmaceutical company wants to find other ways to use their fancy drug. So, like, no shit that they are looking for other avenues to get this into people's systems. So that is my first reaction. The second one is a broader thought on this concept of what they call in the article anti-hedonic drugs, which is essentially what these appetite suppressing or urge resisting drugs do. And like, I think what you sent me the article, and my initial response was like, I feel like anti-hedonics are the lamest category of drug that could possibly exist. And you know, so I've thought about this for a while, and it really does rub me the wrong way. And I guess, like, first I want to make it clear that I am not against these types of drugs being used. It's how they're being used and how they're going to be used. You know, like you said, if you're going to use, if you're somebody that's morbidly obese and you need to lose weight immediately, you just need to get weight off of your frame so that you can start moving your ass, then there it makes sense to me, that you need to use all the interventions possible, or at least like explore all of your options there. But the goal should be to create a life where you no longer require the use of these drugs, and that just does not seem to be the conversation. The biggest thing here is that we're just continuing to mask problems without solving any real issues. But like thinking about these anti-hedonics, the thing that like that is hilarious to me, like it's making pleasure out to be the enemy here. Where these like hedonic drives are, it's our brain's like natural reward system. I mean, they exist. They exist for a reason, and namely, they're there to make us enjoy life. They help make our food taste good. They make our relationships better. They make exercise feel good. They help us be creative. And if you just suppress that drive with drugs, you're not taking away the bad behavior. You are just you're just dulling the risk. You're dulling the entire spectrum of rewards that this life is all about. And so while I'm trying to be optimistic about all this stuff, because I do think that used correctly, it can help people. It's something. It's similar to like what you said. Something that resonated with me in our last episode about when we were talking about the United Health CEO, and you said you fear that the only change that's going to be made is that the security budget is going to double. And like that really stuck with me. I've thought about that a lot since you said it, and I feel similarly here, where all they're doing is just finding a way to get more uses out of this drug. They're not actually doing anything to help people, and that's my biggest concern and my first thought when I read this.
Yeah, it's interesting perspective. I don't necessarily disagree with all of it. I think especially as it relates to how important context is with regard to how these are prescribed. Like, they aren't dominating the market because they're helping obese people. They're dominating the market because moms in Orange County who want to lose that last 5 to 10 pounds are taking them. And that's not really the role for them here. And you're right, like anti-hedonics, the article says that they're often called anti-hedonics, so they are reducing that desire cycle. Like, the desire cycle of your brain. In other words, I think there are unintended consequences here that live beyond maybe food or alcohol, where like how critically important is desire to productivity, to setting and achieving goals, to all of these things that are maybe not really being discussed or communicated with this sort of a play. um, I do think it's interesting as it relates to especially like substance use or substance abuse. And there have already been some retrospective studies that have found associations between GLP-1s and lower risks of alcohol and opioid abuse. And that if you're truly an alcoholic or addicted to opioids, opioids are damn near impossible to kick. If there is an opportunity for these drugs to be prescribed and to support a person in their journey of battling those addictions, I think that could be a really good thing. They do talk about how the mesolimbic system, which is the system in the brain, the region of the brain that where those appetite signals are reduced, that also influences addictive behaviors. So that there's a correlation, or there's a link to be made here, but we'll have to see what the research says as they study it. And I'm with you that the worst thing that could happen here is we just start prescribing them for every problem that we have without really looking to the root cause or other means of addressing those problems, because it's like anything, everybody wants a silver bullet.
And in this, well, first off, you bet your ass that if they're going to, those studies are going to show that in fact these GLP-1s do help. I
Yeah, it's important to note that the company said it will start large studies.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, so
Yeah.
for, but even that's not even me saying that I don't think that they could be effective, because I definitely do think they could be effective. I just wonder at what cost. And I also think that it really narrows the view. It's strict, like from an addiction standpoint, it narrows the view of addiction and addictive behaviors, because it isn't just about that like chemical dependency or pleasure seeking. It's a lot about, it's oftentimes it's about that connection, that purpose. It's escape for a lot of people, and these anti-hedonics are gonna reduce it, to they reduce it to this like neurotransmitter problem, this brain chemistry problem, ignoring the broader psychological and social factors. And
Very
so
true. Yeah.
it just, and again, like, I do think that they will help. It's just it'll help by fixing a symptom. It's not fixing the root cause. And we're just, it's just very indicative of the medical system. And I know that you said that there are some studies where they went and looked back, and it sounds like they already might have some data that's trending in that direction. But Dylan, you know what else has a lot of data to show reduces alcohol use? Regular exercise, strength training, aerobic training. And of course, I understand that there are some people that are in the thick of it that probably do need, just like that person that can't get off the couch and needs the GLP-1s to help get the snowball going. But it's one of those things that more often than not, these drugs aren't going to be prescribed to the 1% of people that really need them. They're going to be prescribed to the 85% of people that are just looking for a silver bullet, that are looking for a quick fix, and are just looking for that easy solution to a problem that they're having. But you got to think that these low effort solutions offer low returns. It's like cheating in a board game and then not feeling that feeling, that joy of actually winning. And it feels like it's robbing people of very important aspects of their life, and that scares me.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, addiction's tough, right? Like, there's certainly the guy who goes to the doctor and the doctor tells him, if you don't stop drinking, your liver's going to fail. And they come back a month later for their appointment and they haven't stopped drinking. And so I certainly agree that there are these contexts where if this works, something like this makes a ton of sense in those cases. But addiction is complicated, and there's certainly more to it than just throwing a pill at it. And there's a lot of work that goes into overcoming addiction, and I think that is important that's at least included here. It's sort of like administering the GLP-1 without also prescribing strength training and protein. Like, if they're going to use this for those sorts of severe cases of addiction, the counseling, the components of sorting out what that addiction is caused by are going to be really important as well. And the whole desire, like, I'm so with you. Like, you should enjoy food. Like, wouldn't you rather just figure out a way to have a better relationship with it and enjoy it when you're able or choose to, than, like, you hear people who go on these things and they just don't want to eat. Like, that doesn't sound like, and certainly you're right. There's cases where that's maybe a good thing because you're severely overweight and you really got to lose that. And then maybe once you do, you can sort out a better way to have a relationship with food. But I don't know, man, these people who are minimally overweight, going to the doctor and asking for these things and then just going about life without the joys that come with eating, which is, it's so communal. It's so good for us. It's so, I see the risks for sure.
Yeah, and it's obviously a lot of nuance to the topic, and something that we're going to continue to talk about as more and more research comes in. So definitely an interesting, new breakthrough here. But obviously, it's something that I'm not going to be like rushing out the door to yell, to yell to people that we've solved addiction.
Yeah.
All right, let's transition to worth it. This week we have a product that both you and I have tried, and if you listen to any other health and wellness podcasts in the last, I don't know, 5 years, you most certainly have heard an advertisement for this product. It's Magic Spoon cereal, which is essentially it's high protein breakfast cereal. So they've taken some of our favorite, trashy breakfast cereals and turned them, changed up the ingredients and the formulas to make it a little more macro friendly, make it, high protein. Now, I have not used Magic Spoon or really like any high protein cereal in quite some time, but it was something that we subscribed to for a while. Do you still use Magic Spoon?
Yeah, here and there. So it's in quite a few stores
Oh,
now.
right now, yeah,
Like the
that's true.
local.
You used to when years ago it was just on you had to order it like it had to get delivered. Now, yeah, you're right. Now it's at stores.
Yeah, so we'll buy it from time to time. More so as like a snack or a dessert than a breakfast. For me, the pros and cons are pretty straightforward. The pros, it tastes good. It legitimately tastes good. Like it tastes like those trashy cereals, but like you said, with better macro profile. It's high in protein and it's very low in sugar. So, um, it's a good alternative option to other cereals, which are generally very low in protein and super high in sugar. Um, so I think there are those benefits there. The cons are pretty straightforward too. It's expensive as hell, and it gets stuck in your teeth. So essentially, what they've
Yeah.
done is like they've taken whey protein and made it hard. They made it into a cereal, and that's essentially what you're eating. Is like they're just little whey protein Cheerios basically with different flavors. So because it's so expensive, we don't buy it super often, but we'll have a box from time to time. And a little pro tip: I like to mix in like a quarter cup of all bran with it to get the fiber up as well. And yeah, I mean, a couple cups of cereal, quarter cup of all bran, and some milk. It's a nutrient dense, um, good alternative option for a sweet treat, a snack. So yeah, there's certainly some benefits to it.
Now I just pulled it up on Amazon, and a box of Magic Spoon. Now it's their chocolate brownie grain free cereal. I don't think I've had that one before.
Me neither.
Uh, but it's got two bags inside, but it is $28, Dylan. Does that sound right?
No, that's more than I pay.
Okay.
Um,
I wonder if that's like but it's two bags. So I wonder
it's
if
two
that's
bags.
like,
No, that's still more though, because they'll they'll have the fruity one, which is really good. It tastes like Fruit Loops almost. At Costco, where you get the big box with two bags in it, and it's less than $20. In one box, which is still expensive for cereal. Um, One box at like Target or the local grocery store is like 9.99.
oh yeah, this I see it now. They're selling 4 packs of the fruity for 34 bucks.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, okay, there we go.
eight and a half
Um,
bucks a box bag. Yeah.
hmm Yeah, and they have a bunch of different flavors. There's like a peanut butter one. There's like what I see a cinnamon roll one here. And so it's one of those things that if you are, I guess it's like for me, it's not worth it because if I'm getting my protein elsewhere. If I love cereal, like I love it, but it's just like I love cookies. Like I know that it's something that's not like a high value food, and so if I buy it, like we treat it like it's a dessert. Like it's
Mhm.
not something that is a staple, and it's not something that is going to be like a centerpiece of any meal. Um, and so for me, I feel like that's a little bit more than I'm willing to spend for protein. However, if you are if you are like big on cereal, like if you're a big cereal eater, like as a lot of 90s kids like very well could be, this is and struggle to get your protein in and want to make a switch to your diet. This is, it could be worth it for you.
Yeah, if you've got the means. I mean, there
Yeah.
Kellogg's has a high protein cereal now. Um, That's like 6.99 a box, and it's 20 grams of protein per serving.
Oh, whoa.
So we'll buy that from time to time too, and we'll use that as like a breakfast option if we're really in the rush in the morning. And you throw in some all bran for the fiber, you get the protein, you throw in a cup of milk, you've got like a 30-gram protein breakfast in a bowl of cereal.
Yeah, and if you
So
do like
it
some
can be
fresh fruit with it too, I mean,
totally,
it can be
yeah,
nutritious for sure.
yeah, and quick and convenient, which I think is important when trying to eat healthier. So yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I don't think it's really worth it. I'd rather just have a yogurt or something than spend 10 plus bucks on a box of cereal, but it does taste good. And if you can stomach the cost, it is a good alternative to other cereals.
Yeah, so I guess Magic Spoon cereal worth it?
Worth it?
Maybe. All right, let's switch over to the main course today. This conversation is all about how to eat, or I guess how to get a nutritious diet, and now we're talking about micronutrients because we've spent a lot of time talking about the macronutrients, the proteins, fats, and carbs. But now we want to dig into how the heck you can eat your way through all the vitamins and minerals without having to supplement.
Yeah, spot on. I mean, we've spent a lot of time talking about the importance of different macronutrients, protein, fats, carbs, fiber, which isn't really a nutrient, but we've talked about how important it is. Um, but these micronutrients, these vitamins, these minerals, these are really what are going to inform your health, the health of your body. Like these things are so critically important, and we don't get enough of a lot of them because of the food choices we make, because of our preference for convenient ultra processed food. You take most people and they're going to be lacking in a lot of these key vitamins and minerals. And the first thing, to your point, Matt, that most people do is they feel like they need to take a multivitamin or they've got some vitamin stack and they spend a whole bunch of money on all these different things to fill the gaps in their nutrition because they choose to eat like shit. And that has all sorts of flaws. One of which is when you eat the micronutrients, your body's going to absorb them better. The other issue is you can continue to eat like an asshole and be really unhealthy and take all these other things and feel like that's resolving the problem, and oftentimes it's not. So there's such a win in choosing these nutrient-rich foods so that you can give your body what it needs to thrive, and a lot of them are really tasty and can be made convenient, which I think is part of the conversation we want to have today.
Yeah, we've told the story on the podcast before about how we took our very first trip to GNC in Madison and were upsold on the men's multivitamin, and then went home and immediately started pissing neon green
Yeah.
for the next 15 days until our vitamin supply ran out. And we at the time we were like, whoa, look how healthy we are. Now understanding that we were literally pissing our money down the toilet. And that's not to say that multivitamins don't have value, but it really there's no reason why you can't get the majority of, even if you have a restrictive diet. And we're going to talk about why we really feel like you can get the majority of these vitamins and minerals from the real foods that you eat. But I think, like, big picture, we understand it. It's easy to explain to people, or easy for people to understand, like, why the macronutrients are important. We know that carbs are quick fuel, fats are kind of more that slower burning fuel, and then protein is obviously like the building blocks for muscle. And so that's a very easy concept for people to understand. Where micronutrients aren't not always as easy. And so one way that I have heard it said before is the micronutrients are like the oil in the car, where if the carbs and fats, if that's the gas, the micronutrients are the oil. That's what allows the car to run. It might not be directly supplying the energy, but it's what's going to keep all of the systems in your body running healthy. Is that like
I like it.
a fair
Yeah.
representation. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really well said. So, there's a few different ways that we could approach this. I think, these micronutrients, these vitamins, these minerals, they're important for your energy, they're important for your immune system, they're important for building muscle, they're important for the strength of your bones, they're important for just how you generally feel. And so many people just make this way harder than it needs to be and way more expensive to the supplement point. It really can be, I'm not saying it's easy, but it can be as simple as eat real food, eat a variety of different fruits and vegetables, proteins, fats, and carbs, and be consistent at that. Like it, and I understand that that can be challenging for people. Like eating healthy comes with complications. It feels like it can be time consuming. It feels like it can be expensive in some cases to some people, which is certainly not true. And so, when we're talking about these different vitamins and minerals, we'll just list them quick because you've probably heard of them and you've probably seen them. But we're talking about, from the vitamin perspective, vitamin A, the vitamin B complex, which is made up of a number of different B vitamins, vitamin C and vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. And all of these things you can get from a well rounded diet. On the minerals front, then, we're talking about calcium, iron, magnesium, potassium, zinc, sodium, which we've talked a little bit about, phosphorus, iodine, and selenium. Again, all of these things which can be acquired through eating a well balanced diet that's rich in whole foods, that minimally processed foods. And so I think a good place to start, Matt, is where most people are deficient. Um, and a lot of people are lacking in a lot of these different things. I already mentioned that. Some of it even has to do with the quality of our soils now. Our soils are so degraded that the plants that are grown in them actually don't have the same quality of mineral makeup as they used to. And so it's just critically important that we're eating the right things to get these different vitamins and minerals in our diet. The first of which is vitamin D. Vitamin D is so critically important. We know obviously that we get it from the sun, but we can get it from our diet as well. And vitamin D is going to support your bone health. It's really critically important for the immune system. I talked on the podcast before about a point in time where I was getting regular colds and I went into the doctor and found out that my vitamin D levels were quite low. And the doctor's advice was to ensure that I got those vitamin D levels up. Has a ton to do with your mood, has a role in testosterone production. So vitamin D is critically important. And people lack it a lot of times due to limited sun exposure. So like to some degree it's a bit unavoidable for people like us in Wisconsin in the winter where we just don't have exposure to that sun. But there are these dietary opportunities as well. And this certainly could be one that you do supplement. It's inexpensive. And sometimes, like I said, it's just unavoidable. You're in the northern hemisphere in the winter. Like it's just harder to get. But when we're talking about good sources of vitamin D in your nutrition, fatty fish is awesome. So salmon, sardines, mackerel. Canned sardines taste like canned tuna, and they're way better for you. Like give them a try. If you don't want the skin and bones in there, they even make them boneless, skinless. And canned mackerel is fucking
Oh,
amazing,
it's so good. It's my favorite of the
dude.
smash fish for sure.
Oh, it is so they're bigger fillets, really good on like a cracker with some mustard. But some other sources, egg yolks, fantastic for vitamin D. A lot of dairy, milk will have it. Sometimes if you're vegan, a plant milk will fortify it with vitamin D. So from a nutrition point of view, that's where you're going to want to go if you want to get those vitamin D levels up.
Yeah, but I mean, as you mentioned, it's super hard to just get it from your food. It's like something like 5 to 10% of your vitamin D is sourced from your diet. And so, this is one of those things where and we're going to be spending the rest of the time talking about foods, but this is one where, in these states and areas of the world where there's not a whole lot of sunlight, you have to really find ways to prioritize it. And when that sun is shining, and it doesn't even have to be full exposure, like there is plenty of research to show that when the sun is up, even if there are clouds, you can still get those ultraviolet rays. And so, I think it's just really important for people to realize like how little of vitamin D comes from your diet, and when you have the opportunity to get some sun on your body, even if it's cold outside, find a way to make it happen. Get it in your eyes, get it on your face, get it on your skin. It's so good for you.
You bet. Another one that's been really hot in the health and fitness world is magnesium. There were some statistics that came out showing that like up to 60% of people in the U.S. don't consume enough magnesium to meet the recommended daily intake. And then some global studies showing like 30 to 40% of the population being deficient, having subclinical magnesium deficiency. So we're super low in magnesium, and there's a ton of food sources you can go to for getting magnesium into your diet. This is one that you certainly don't need to be supplementing, unless, of course, you find out that you are subclinically deficient. But magnesium's super important, really good for helping to sleep, really important for the opposite side of that coin, which is energy production, really, really important for muscle function. So magnesium's really important.
Yeah, magnesium is kind of like, as the kids are saying, having a moment right now. If you listen to any health and wellness podcast besides ours, because not that we're against having a magnesium sponsorship, but we just haven't been offered one yet. It seems like every single podcast is sponsored by one of these various magnesium supplement companies, and it is hilarious to me because, as we're about to show you, magnesium is super easy to get in your diet, and the foods that are high in magnesium are great for so many other reasons too. So,
Yeah.
this is one of those that, like, yeah, if you're considering a magnesium supplement, get it, like, close the tab on your computer and just listen, because there are so many good options. My personal favorite is pumpkin seeds, pepitas. They are super high in magnesium, high in fiber, really, really good for you. But then, like, a bunch of other nuts. It's like almonds, cashews, just nuts in general tend to be very high in magnesium. But then also stuff like dark leafy greens. I think spinach, especially cooked spinach, is like super high in magnesium.
Yeah. A cup or two of dark leafy greens a day is really going to set you up well, like for a
For a
lot
bunch
of
of
different
these.
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
for many of these things. So figure out how to get a serving of that a day, and you're setting yourself up for success. But yeah, handful of nuts for a snack. Those can be pretty calorie dense. So if you're watching your weight, maybe that's not the direction that you go. But they're also fairly protein dense. Whole grains are great: oats, quinoa, different whole grain breads, and my favorite is dark chocolate. I that's the way that I will always curb my after dinner sweet tooth. I keep a bar of dark chocolate in the freezer or fridge, and we'll have a couple squares of that. And dark chocolate's super high in magnesium.
Yeah, dark chocolate is a great choice, and chia seeds, another one.
Yeah,
So actually, this is one of those things. Kind of like thinking back to our high protein cereal conversation. One thing that we do in our house is we like make our own cereal at home. So like we'll have some homemade granola, and we'll just load it up with pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, a little maple syrup or honey for sweetener, and then maybe mix some protein powder in. And so if you're having breakfast with, and whether that's like yogurt based or milk based, or whatever it is, if you are having those the chia seeds, the pumpkin seeds, things like hemp hearts, it can really, like, it can set yourself up for such an easy day. And yeah, like it's super easy. This is not anything that needs to be supplemented.
so when we went to that vitamin store and we're pissing neon green, a lot of that had to do with vitamin B. So a lot of these things are packed with vitamin B complex, and there is one B vitamin that many people are deficient in, and that's vitamin B12. And vitamin B12 is super important, supports your energy, supports. I think B vitamins are really important for red blood cell formation, and nerve function. So a lot of this is going to be the people who are deficient in B vitamins are typically people who don't eat enough animal protein, because a lot of this is found mostly in those animal proteins. So this is really common in vegetarians or vegans. So the top sources for this are going to be meat, fish, poultry, red meat, whatever it is, eggs and dairy. And then some different plant-based products will be fortified with vitamin B12 to support the lack of it that exists in places where people who aren't eating meat are getting their food.
Yeah, I think the only food source, the only plant-based food source that I could find that was not fortified with B12 that still had it was nori. And nori actually seemed, and the research was a little challenging for my dumb brain to like parse through. And
Seaweed, right? Seaweed?
yeah, seaweed, exactly. Yeah. But it seemed like at least some people believe that nori can be a really good option for B12. But I can't say for certain how conclusive all that data is. But other than that, I could not find another single thing. But, things like nutritional yeast is fortifying B12, lots of stuff they are fortifying with B12. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's really interesting, too, because B12, so many people are deficient in it because it's one of the only B vitamins that we can actually store. All the other B vitamins besides that and folate, we have to get on a daily basis. Our bodies can't even store them. But it seems like like the only people that tend to be deficient in B12 are people that don't eat meat.
Yeah. And the fact that you can't store them is why your piss will be neon green if you supplement with them, because they just essentially pass through.
Right.
Another big one is calcium. Probably can cover it relatively quickly, but if you're not a dairy eater, there's a pretty good chance that you may not be getting enough calcium. Calcium is really important for your bones, for your teeth, for muscle function, and calcium. Most people are getting their calcium from dairy products, milk, yogurt, cheese. Again, there are some fortified milk alternatives that may have some calcium in them: almond milk, soy milk. But if you're not a dairy eater, another place you can go for calcium is in those dark leafy greens, your kales, your bok choys, your spinaches, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Sneaky one is if you're okay with the sardines with the bones in them, bones, calcium,
Oh,
that can be a really good source of calcium too.
that makes sense because that kept coming up on the list, and that just didn't make sense to me that they were, that there was calcium in those fish, but it's because you're eating the bones.
Yes.
No shit. All right, learn something new every day.
So yeah, if you're a dairy eater, you're probably okay here. But if you're not, something to look into, ways to supplement that through your nutrition. Supplement through your nutrition. You don't necessarily need to be taking a supplement. Another one that's probably worth covering is potassium. So potassium is really important for blood pressure, which a lot of people are struggling with, and regulating that blood pressure. Important for fluid balance, muscle contractions. You'll hear about people getting cramps, right? And a lot, like you'll see in an NFL game, somebody will go out with cramps and they'll give them oftentimes they'll take them to the locker room and give them a IV. But a banana, like marathon runners, right? They'll give them bananas throughout the course of the marathon. Again, if you're not eating enough fruits and vegetables here, and you're eating diet that's super high in processed foods, you may be low in potassium. So eat your fruits and vegetables. Super high in bananas and potatoes, sweet potatoes. Super high in avocados, beans, lentils, spinach, broccoli. Again, to the point we made before with most of these things, it's ultimately about eating a diverse, nutritious whole food diet, and you're going to cover a lot of these bases. But if you're not eating those things, you may find yourself deficient in potassium.
Yeah, for sure. Quick aside. You would think that you see them passing out like bananas for races and stuff, but you never see like potatoes. Like, they're never just like giving you like
I would just
like a nice baked potato. No, like a baked potato like wrapped in foil at like mile 12.
That might be a little harder to consume.
Maybe.
But I might actually enjoy that more.
Yeah, something to think about.
Yeah. The last thing I think we want to mention here on the deficiency front is not necessarily a vitamin or a mineral, but many people are lacking in this essential fatty acid, which is omega-3 fatty acids. And these are really, really important, and many people are deficient in them. They're really important for the health of your heart, for the function of your brain, and for reducing systemic inflammation in the body. And the top source for this is going to be fatty fish and a few different plant-based sources. So if you're not eating enough fish, you should certainly look to whether it's salmon or those sardines or those mackerel, the smash fish, right? Salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, and herring. Is that right?
Say it one more time.
Salmon,
Mm,
mackerel,
yep,
anchovies, sardines, herring.
nailed it. You nailed
Yeah,
it.
so the smash fish are great. That's another one that if you're not getting any of that in your diet, a couple times a week to incorporate that can have some huge impacts. On the plant-based side, chia seeds,
Yep.
flax seeds, some nuts like walnuts are super high in omega 3s. And then a lot of times now you'll see eggs in the grocery store, noting that their eggs are fortified with omega 3s, which can be
Yeah.
good as well.
Worth noting with flax seeds, because I'm actually not a huge. I know we've talked about this in the past. You and I. I'm not a huge fan of the taste of flax seeds, like ground flax seeds, and so I used to just like get the full seed and would mix them in. But if you don't grind up the flax seeds, you're not going to get the omega 3s. So you either need to make sure that you're actually like chewing up those flax seeds with every single bite. But the easiest way to do it is just to either buy ground flax seed, or you can grind it yourself before you mix it in whatever, yogurt or whatever you're using it for. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the flavor, but you mix it with a bunch of other good stuff and it's fine.
So we talk about big rocks a lot, and there are some big rocks in nutrition that are going to help you check a lot of these boxes. So I think that's what we want to cover here. We want this to be as applicable, as practical as possible. And so we know a lot of people are deficient in a lot of key vitamins and minerals. What are the sources, Matt, that we can go to where we're going to get the best bang for our buck, where we can eat the 20% of stuff that's going to have 80% of the impact?
Right, and so I think this is the grocery list. So if you're kind of waiting for the actionable portion of the episode, like get the pen and paper out now and just like have these items like in the back of your head. It's not like you got to necessarily get them every time you go to the grocery store, but like if you never buy some of these things, it's worth giving them a try because they really are the quote unquote superfoods, as some people might say. The first and foremost, like honestly, like something that I eat pretty much on a daily basis, and something that has gone through the ringer when it comes to the health and hate communities. It's eggs. Why? Relatively cheap, although people are whining about the cost of eggs now. Super easy to prepare, loaded with protein. They've got your B vitamins. They have the vitamin D, choline, healthy fats, etc. I mean, they are an absolute, like, they're one of the most complete foods out there. But cholesterol, da 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 da.
Yeah, and there's a ton of research to show that dietary cholesterol doesn't impact your blood cholesterol levels. So,
Right.
yeah, talk to your doctor, but I wouldn't be overly concerned about eggs' impact on increasing your dietary cholesterol or your
Well, yeah, and especially if you're just having a couple, it's not like you're eating a
right,
dozen eggs a day.
right, like some nut job bodybuilders do.
Right.
So yeah, eggs. I think eggs pound for pound, like dollar for it's there's nothing better.
For sure.
Another really good one is potatoes, both sweet
Hmm.
potatoes and white potatoes. We have sweet potatoes and white potatoes every single week.
Oh yeah.
Really high in vitamin C. Everybody just thinks of oranges, but potatoes are super high as well. Potassium, which we already talked about, great source of fiber. Great source of healthy carbohydrate. Carbs have been demonized. It's nonsense. As long as you're getting your carbs from healthy sources, they're critically important. And the benefit of sweet potatoes that you won't get with regular potatoes is sweet potatoes are pretty rich in vitamin A, which is important as well. So, again, relatively inexpensive, very versatile. You can do a lot of different things with them. And on the potato episode, the hot topic about potatoes we talked about last time, they're super filling and satiating. So potatoes are, man, they're pretty close to eggs in terms
Yeah.
of a pound for pound nutrition.
Boil them, mash them, put them in a stew. What can't you do with potatoes, Dylan? I
Yeah,
mean, it's insane.
you can't
And
eat them during a marathon. And
you could potentially, and the no free ads, but I'm pretty sure I saw Costco. You can get a 5 pound bag of potatoes for like $1.50 right now. So
Nuts.
run, don't walk, guys. I mean, it's insane.
You bet.
Oh, hold on. Before we move on, I had a thought. One of these days, when we just have like time to kill during an episode, we should do a favorite like style of potato draft.
Ooh, ooh.
So put that in the tickler file
We'll do it.
because
We'll do
that
it
would be
for.
good.
We'll do it for worth it next week, maybe.
Oh, all right. I like it. All right. The next one that I am a huge fan of is spinach. As far as like greens go, it has to be one of the most nutrient dense out there. It's got iron, magnesium, calcium, folate, vitamin K. It's one of those that you can eat it raw, but if you do cook it, the iron becomes a lot more bioavailable. The magnesium becomes a lot more bioavailable. It shrinks. Basically, just like disappears in the pan because all the water gets cooked out of it. But spinach is one of those things that we often have in the house all the time, and I don't even need to put it with anything. I mean, as I've shown before, I'll just grab a handful and just start chewing that bad boy because it's good for you. It's one of those things you don't even have to like. I don't care if you don't like it. I don't care. Eat spinach. It's good for you.
And it's super easy to hide too. Like
Oh
you
yeah,
can
for
you
sure.
can blend it up in a smoothie with a bunch of fruit and not even know it's there. You can like we'll make like a pasta with some red sauce. And to your point, like you can put a whole bag of spinach in the pan, saute it down to a point where it just incorporates with the sauce. You don't even know it's there, and you're revving up the nutrient profile of that pasta and meat sauce that you're about to eat. So, spinach is super important. We talked about the canned fish already, right? The canned fish is awesome. Like if you don't like it, figure out a way to make it into a tuna salad. Mix it with some mayonnaise. Go try Matthew McConaughey's
Oh, that's
trending.
viral right now. Yeah,
I
that's
made
really
it, dude. I
popping.
made it. I made it,
It sounds
dude.
great.
It is unbelievable. The thing for me that doesn't everybody's talking about the wasabi. The
Yeah.
wasabi is nice. It's the green apple.
Oh
The,
yeah.
the green apple in there. The crunch, the little tartness. It's really good. So go make yourself some of that. But really high in protein, those omega 3s that are critical, vitamin D, source of vitamin D, the calcium again if the bones are included. And again, shelf stable. Like I still have sardines
Yep.
up in the cupboard that I
That's
bought
huge.
6 months ago from Costco. We buy it in bulk. It sits in there. They're dirt cheap and they're so just incredibly nutritious. So sardines, mackerel are really awesome. But salmon, tuna even can be fine. So
Yeah.
get your canned
And
fish.
really and so the reason why we like say the smash fish, why those are like the advised ones is because generally you want some like smaller fish because of mercury. Mercury is something that is a big deal when it comes to our oceans, and the bigger the fish, it's the half life of mercury. Basically, like every time that a fish gets eaten, a smaller fish gets eaten by a bigger fish, that mercury doubles in the next fish.
Bioaccumulates, it's called. Yeah.
Bioaccumulates, right? So it basically just there's more and more. The bigger the fish, the more mercury is in it, and this is one of those things where if you eat it sparingly, it's probably not something that you really have to worry about too much. If it's something that is a staple in your diet, you probably want to do a little research on brands that do independent that have their stuff mercury tested, independently mercury tested, just because it is something that is a real issue that is going on right now.
You bet. In the interest of time here, Matt, let's go rapid fire here for a little bit.
Okay, I'm good with
Because I
that.
want to cover all these because I do think that this is just like a grade A grocery list. Like if you can get these things into your diet on a weekly, bi-weekly basis, you're going to be setting yourself up for so much success with regards to your nutrition and
All
health.
right, let's
So
do it.
next one is like beans and lentils,
Love them.
loaded with plant protein, fiber, critically important, magnesium, iron, folate, and really inexpensive. Like
Magical
a
fruit.
dollar for a bag of dry beans, really inexpensive for canned versions. So Again, from a budgetary component, very, very beneficial.
Next up, Greek yogurt, protein packed, probiotics, uh, B vitamins, good for you.
Greek yogurt deserves more time because, man, Greek yogurt is like a
Okay, all right. I
damn
thought we
near.
were rapid firing
No,
here.
we are. But that's like I just want to say that's like a daily one for me as well.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Oats are awesome,
Love
super high
them.
in fiber. These have been demonized as well by like weird carnivore people that say they have, different plant chemicals that are bad for you in them, which is just nuts. Um, Fiber, iron, magnesium, B vitamins, super versatile. You can do the overnight oat. You can cook them up, eat them in the morning. You can grind them into a flour. And again, really inexpensive, last an eternity.
And real quick, if you are concerned about glyphosate, because oats are one of those things that have been demonized in the glyphosate community, Costco sells big giant bags of sprouted oats that have been tested that are glyphosate free. So that's what we get, and we eat those pretty much every day.
Yeah, oats is one thing that I will always buy organic for that
For
reason.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Because it's something about like to dry them or something in like the curing process. They actually spray more glyphosate on it.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, my favorite, liver. It's like, as I mentioned, it is the only food that I can eat and actually tell. I can feel the impact afterwards. Packed with vitamin A, iron, zinc, the B vitamins, especially B12. It's just loaded with B12. I think that chicken liver is a little bit more like stomachable. I mean, especially like a pate. You don't even really know that you're eating liver. But beef liver, like a good liver and onions, it'll grow on you. Keep
Yeah.
trying.
Matea's chicken liver with her focaccia was pretty fire. I'll say I did enjoy that when we had that on New Year's a few years ago.
Hmm.
I want to note zinc. We didn't talk a ton about zinc, but zinc's one that a lot of people are deficient in too, and that's because from a nutrition source, it's a little harder to get. There's lower levels of it in a lot of red meats, but shellfish are super high in zinc, so you might want to consider shellfish in your diet for some of
Oysters are like
your
the
in
like
there.
bang for your buck, are like the highest in zinc food out there.
Yeah, and canned smoked oysters are
Oh,
also
those are
fantastic.
delicious. Yeah.
Yeah, really, really good on a cracker. Bananas we talked about mostly for the potassium, vitamin C, quick boost to energy. Love one like before a workout, and bananas are so inexpensive.
Yeah, I love bananas. Carrots, they have beta carotene, which is vitamin A. They're affordable. You get a big bag for like $1.50. And then, my favorite part is that they're just like the easiest, most convenient snack.
Yeah,
I just have a big bag in my fridge, and if I am just like bored eating, I will always go to the carrot first because it's easy and it is something that, yeah, super good for you.
yeah, I eat a ton of carrots too. I love that we have cabbage on here. I think cabbage is awesome. It's
Yeah.
inexpensive, again, very versatile, raw or cooked, and packed with vitamin C, vitamin K, and fiber. So another inexpensive one. You can put it in a salad. You can put it in a stir fry. You can just saute it up. My mom makes a great like German pork and cabbage where she puts like little raisins in the cabbage. Oh, it's
Oh,
one of my
yeah,
favorite
it's
things in
not
the
for
world.
me, but
Um,
I understand people like that.
you haven't had it. You
Or
haven't had it. You got to try it. You
your
haven't had
mom's,
it.
I would try. I would try your mom's for
Okay.
sure. And don't forget about sauerkraut.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Holy shit. What a massive failure on my end. Yeah. Sauerkraut's my top source of this in my diet. So yeah, for sure.
For sure. This next one is actually, this is like a Dylan special here, frozen mixed vegetables. You are a huge frozen mixed vegetable guy, but it makes sense. I mean, I know growing up, that was like the majority of the veggies that we ate were, like some form of like frozen mixed veggie that my mom would heat up for us. And it's convenient. Obviously, it's nutrient dense, and then a lot of times people hate on the frozen veggies because of they're not as fresh as the fresh stuff, but generally they're more fresh because they are frozen right after picking, where those things that are in your grocery store, who the heck knows how long those have been in trucks and shipping facilities. So a lot of times you're actually getting a higher quality vegetable when you go with the frozen stuff.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites on the list. And a lot of places now they'll they'll even sell them with like good seasonings on them, where you can just stick them in the oven and roast them up from frozen, and
Hmm.
have yourself a really good healthy meal. And my only issue with vegetables and fruit is spoilage, and that doesn't
Yeah.
exist with frozen. Like it can live in your freezer forever. You pull it out, quick, easy meal. Um, Another one I want to quickly mention is chicken thighs. So the benefit with chicken thighs is they're often cheaper than chicken breast. Still going to provide you with that protein, iron, B vitamins, but also some healthy fats because it's a fattier cut of chicken than the chicken breast. So chicken thighs specifically, I mean, most meats really good, but chicken thighs specifically have those additional benefits also.
Yeah, big chicken thigh guy. And last but not least, my I'm not going to go on record and say it. One of my favorite fruits, it's apples. I love them so much. High in fiber, high in vitamin C. They're cheap, they're delicious, and there's so many dang varieties that they're tough to get bored of.
Yeah, man. So we covered a ton here. That's a great grocery list for you. Throw in some, your choice of different healthy animal proteins. Any other fruits or vegetables. Again, variety is really critically important here. But all this is going to set you up much better than those supplements you're often tempted to buy. So um, give this a shot. Go to the grocery, figure out different ways to be creative and incorporate these things into your diet, and you will live a healthier life as a result.
Yeah, for sure. Now we're going to spend the last chunk of the podcast here, kind of talking about how to make a nutrient dense day of eating. I feel like that's something that we'll put like a little like note together, and we'll put that out there for the people. I don't think they need to hear us, put everything that we just said into meal form. We're already going a little long, which is great. This has been a good, lively discussion about what can be a kind of a boring topic sometimes. So instead of making this go any longer, Dylan, let's just bring it home. Are there any other uh, recaps or takeaways that you feel like you need to go over besides, I think, like the main point here, which is if you include variety in your diet, there is very little reason to need supplementation. With just a few tweaks to your grocery list, you can have a diverse, nutrient rich, very healthy diet. But it just takes thinking out of the box sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, hit your protein goal. Get 30 grams of fiber a day, and then look to some of these big rock nutrient dense foods to ensure that you're getting the vitamins and minerals that you need, and work around that with variety. To your point, try different stuff. 3 servings of fruit, 3 servings of vegetables, serving of legumes a day, and you're setting yourself up pretty well around that protein and fiber.
Yeah. All right. Let's bring it home. Let's start with the Q&A. Dylan, you got a question for us today, huh?
I do have a question. I got to pull it up on my phone here. So the question is, do you need to consume protein immediately after you work out? And how much can you absorb at one time?
Oh, okay. Two-part question. So actually, did you see the Jeff Nippert video that he just did on this very question?
I didn't.
It's hilarious. He's going around his gym and just asking a bunch of fitness bro and broettes how many grams of protein they think can be absorbed in a single meal.
Hmm.
And the answers are all over the place. But what the reason why he was doing this now is because a study was recently done that basically has shown that there is no known upper threshold of protein intake per meal. Um, and it's at least 100 grams, meaning you can fast all day long and eat 100-gram protein dinner, and odds are you are going to absorb every single gram of that protein. Now, the first part of that question was what? Like, is it important to eat protein right after a workout? Right?
Yeah.
No, that's not important unless you are. on the fringe of performance. Just worry about the number. Do not worry about when.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add. Your total daily protein intake is what's important here. So anybody that's telling you something different is either a professional athlete that's working in the margins to achieve some incremental additional benefit, or they're wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, let's bring it home with the greatest podcast segment to ever exist. It is the I Lift a Sad Song of the Week. No confusion on whose sad song it is this week, Dylan. It is yours. Let's hear it.
It's mine. Yeah, it is mine.
Oh, no.
No, I have my list here. I just got to pull it up really quick. So bear with me for 1 second.
Oh, well,
No,
while
I
you're
got it.
looking, well,
Okay.
hold on. Let me just make a quick comment. Did you listen to Lady Gaga's Santa Claus is Coming to Town
I
out?
have
Just
not.
came out. Skip it.
Skip it. It's not good.
It's not good.
Oh man,
Sorry.
that's a bummer. Um, yeah, I've been excited about this one actually.
Okay.
I'm going with Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yes.
dude.
Banger.
Yeah,
Love that.
really, really good workout song.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. All right.